guys, how are y'all doing? RMC had to go for a quick emergency, so I'm filling in. I'm the producer for the Content Maker stage, so how are you all enjoying the content? Thank you. Please give us your feedback in any way, and while I'm up here, I'm just going to give a shout out to our crew, our AV crew, so let's give them another round of applause as well. So the next session is about what it takes to actually beat the odds and be one of the digital tech giants. It's become easier than ever. The barriers to entry are very small, but the fact of the matter is the odds are also very small. So for the next session, we're actually going to hear from a few people who have beaten the odds. So in conversation with Eric Schurenberg, please give a warm round of applause to the founder and CEO of Video++, William Joy, the Director of Products and Services at Altice, Tiago Silva Lopes, and from Jungle Creations, Chief Content Officer, Melissa Chapman.
Afternoon, everyone. Technology, digitalization have allowed companies to go from startup to giant in no time flat. Virality, the zero cost of distribution on a global scale have changed the game in ways that have never before been seen in human history. The stunning reality of that is that every company in this room has the potential to become a global giant. The other part of that reality is that only a tiny sliver of the companies in this room really will, a percentage that would be rivaled by lottery winners. So today, to help you realize your potential to become a global giant and plot your path to that goal, we have assembled three giants from very different industries that achieve gianthood in very different ways. Over there, in the seat by himself, is William Joy, who's the founder and CEO of Video++, which is only the largest video company in China. Next to him is Melissa Chapman, the Chief Content Officer of Jungle Creations, which is the largest video producer on Facebook, with 5.5 billion video views last year. And to my right is Tiago Silva Lopes, who's Director of Consumer Products and Services for Altice Portugal, which is only the 16th largest telecom on the planet. So welcome, everyone. Yeah. Every giant starts small, and the decisions you make when you're just starting out have an outsized impact on your path to success. So let's start with that. Let's start with the origin story and talk about where you came from and how you got to be the giant you are today. William, let's start with you.
Okay, hi guys, I'm William Joy. 6 years ago in Boston, so I was a student. I was a third-year university student in Boston. And we were watching a video, watching someone's playing soccer. And we liked the shoes the player's wearing. And we wanted to buy the shoes right within the video. So we went onto Google and searched for the shoes, but nothing popped up. So then I asked my professor, what if there existed a technology that allowed you to click on the shoes right there, and you can purchase the shoes when you're watching the video? So this is where we started. And but you know, at the beginning, it was very hard. We got our first round of investment from Harvard, from the school, and only 500,000. And then the whole company kind of just, we went into business, but no one's trying to pay for us. In 2014, on the brink of bankruptcy, we went to China. And now, after 4 years, we're the largest video technologies company in China. We just got our $200 million USD for Series C funding led by Alibaba, valued at 1.2 billion valuation. And now, what we do is, when you're in the same situation watching videos, you can just, if you like the outfit what Melissa is wearing, you can just click on it and purchase the Outlook right there. That's my story.
That's a pretty good business model. Congratulations, William. All right, Melissa, what's the story of Jungle Creations?
Yeah, so also my outfit is available in other retailers that you can purchase it if you'd like to. Jungle Creations started 4 years ago, actually, similarly from a university. Our CEO and founder, Jamie, was studying at uni, and he started a Facebook page called VT, and essentially he started writing articles about his life at university, relatable moments that other college people could, you know, click on, relate to, share with their friends. And very, very quickly, he realized the power of Facebook to drive people to website, to monetize them there programmatically. And it kind of grew out from there. So now we have 16 different channels, 6 core media brands, 85 million followers, and we're getting, as you said, about 5 billion views every single month from these platforms. And that's all happened in the last 4 years, relatively organically, because we're still very much bootstrapped as a business.
Let me point out that 5.5 billion page views, 85 million followers, $1.2 billion valuation for William Joy, and neither of these companies existed 6 years ago. These are amazing times we live in. Tiago, Altice has a longer history, but has a much bigger footprint. Tell the story.
True. So actually, I wasn't even born when we first came into the market. It was back in the 1800s, typical public telephony company with a postal service. Then we grew into what is a typical telco today. One of the biggest in the world. In Portugal, the leader, focusing mostly on bringing connectivity to everyone, as you've experienced here in the Web Summit, but also trying to connect with content and advertising and trying to make the ecosystem work for everyone.
All right, good, thank you. As I said in the introduction, it's possible for a company to go from 0 to $1.2 billion in valuation, for example, in less than a decade, and yet very few companies do. When you look back at your experience, what would you say is the special something that you had that gave your company the escape velocity to separate itself from the pack and go on to success? William?
That's a very good question. I think the first thing come to my mind is talents. We invest exclusively in young talents. Over 300 people in our company are born after the 1990s. And this is something we found very magic, because young people, although they don't have like much work experience, but what they do is they actually think much beyond what we can do currently, but they think about the future. So the technologies that we see in digital media that can potentially lead the future, I think there might be 3. First is video recognition, where you recognize what's in the video. And the second is product placement, where let's say this is a table, and now we want to virtually place a Coca-Cola onto the table. So there's a huge market for advertising right there. And the last one is e-commerce in video, which is you can shop within video. So people spend a lot of time in video these days, and while you're watching the videos, your interest gets sparked. And you can bridge the gap between point of interest and point of action. You can shop right there within the video. So I think these 3 are the technology trends, and we invest in young talents to make it happen.
Okay, good. So it was the technology and the vision of the future of the marriage of all those industries with video, and also having people who are young enough not to be bound by legacy models and could see the future. Melissa, what would you say was the special sauce at Jungle Creations?
Yeah, I mean, similarly to William, young talent is so important to us. I think especially when you're working on social media platforms, the people that work for us live on those platforms in their day-to-day life. They've grown up with the likes of Facebook. They kind of know how they're engaging with it, and therefore how to get other people of a similar audience range to engage with it as well. And I think beyond that, obviously, because lots of different competitors can do that same model, what really stood out for us was identifying opportunity in the market. So, for instance, Twisted, which is our leading food and drink channel, the hands in pans format of top-down recipes existed before we did, but for us to grow Twisted to 1 million followers in 6 weeks, we basically realized that what people weren't doing was doing something different with recipes. Rather than just doing a standard lasagna, what can we do that's really, really innovative and different, that will make conversation and people say, I haven't seen this before. And we've kind of replicated that across a lot of our vertical channels that we've built since then. And we certainly didn't put all our eggs in one basket, and we've kind of diversified really well.
Okay. Well, verticalization has been a key to Jungle Creation's success. What are the different channels that you
So
sponsor?
we have 6 core media brands: VT, which is our leading media and entertainment; Twisted, which is our food and drink; Level Fitness, which is all about fitness; 49, which is our female-first platform; and World Unknown, which is all about travel. And then we have sub-channels beneath that. For us, verticalization has been really, really important to increase relevancy. As algorithms are developing, one thing that they're pushing more than ever is to have relevant content delivered to your audience and not just throwing enough stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks. So for us to create sub-channels, that allowed us to really tap into niche markets that when they were seeing it on their feed, it was relevant to them. They would then become a more loyal audience member, which then means they're more likely to purchase from you, come back again, and have kind of more planned viewing rather than just finding you in their timeline, which is growing in importance, especially on Facebook.
Good, good. Tiago, we've just heard both our other panelists praise workers who are 20 years old, who age out at 20. I'm starting to feel pretty insecure in my job security.
You're not the old 20.
I hope that's not been part of the special formula at Altice.
Well, actually, we tried to get everyone on board because we do feel that millennials have a strong saying today in the market. They have a different way of thinking about things, of going about them, very agile, very resilient, very capable to adapt. But obviously, when you have a business that comes from a long, long time and over a long period of years, you still need to have other kinds of skills within your organization.
Yes.
Although, looking at the unicorns, what I think is that talent is obviously the most important thing. But one of the things I see failing the most is that you keep changing the reason why you exist. And most of the guys that stick to it and are successful is because there's a reason why they're doing things. Technology is an enabler, is not the end result, and they're there to fix a problem, to make something better than it used to be. When you keep changing your direction, it's okay as long as the reason why is still your main goal and objective.
Good. So maybe a way to just summarize that would be that keep the mission in sight, but be flexible in the ways you approach it.
Exactly.
Once you've achieved scale, then you become no longer the disruptor, you become the target of the next generation of disruptors. Melissa, how do you think about protecting your status and not becoming, since you know you're in the crosshairs of other competitors, how do you avoid becoming a victim of disruption?
I think the barrier to entry on our space particularly is a lot higher now than it used to be. The accessibility to grow audiences 4 years ago on Facebook was less polluted than it is now, so there was less competition, which meant we got that head start, and it was quite a lot about timing. And since then, I think it's just not getting complacent and knowing that you have to continue to innovate. So, you know, we post 100 videos a day, but still after 4 years of kind of understanding that audience and understanding the content that works, we test it. We create 16 different variations of every video. We test the first 3 seconds. We look at the watch time, where are people dropping off, how can we get them to remain longer? Wow. And we really rewrite our own rules constantly so that we're always ahead of the market and ahead of the algorithm.
Wow, that's interesting. That's real dedication. Wow,
yeah.
That is not complacency.
It's a lot to do.
William, your Video++ is so cutting edge. You may feel that there is no threat to you, but my guess is that that's not really the way you look at it.
I think there's always threat. I think there are young people there are people who are born after the 2000s, and now they're going to university, I think, in 2 or 3 years. I think these might be people who are going to get the next round of or generation of technologies to the world. But I think, our generation is still pretty young. I'm 26, and I think in the next 10 years, there are a lot can be done in video technologies to allow this new medium of message to thrive. And now, I think there are the three most lucrative ways to earn money on the internet is there's advertising, there's e-commerce, and there's gaming. And now we're only in advertising and e-commerce in video. But in the future, I think there's a big possibility that gaming and video, these two have no boundaries in between. You see gaming in video, and there's video in gaming. So I think there definitely will be technologies in that in the 3 years down the road.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Tiago, how do you make sure that the competitors are not gaining on you?
Well, so there's a lot of F words in our business. One of them is legacy, and the other is cannibalization. The way we try to look at this and all of the cool things that are happening is that you cannot look at them as threats, because when you look at them as threats, you build walls, you build defenses, you look at ways to stop them. If you look at them as opportunities, then you try to look at ways to take advantage of them, synergies, opportunities, partnerships. And for us, it's more about building an ecosystem where we edge all of what's happening around the world by partnering and working together with all of these great companies, making sure that what's really important to us, which is the relationship we have with our customer, still is the cornerstone of what we do. So we want to bring to our customers all the cool things that are happening around the world, making sure that they feel that through us, through a curated environment, they can have the best options available in the world, rather than trying to compete with every one of those new things that are happening today and continue to happen in the future.
Well, thank you. That's maybe the best description I've heard of how a legacy company can remain agile.
Thank you.
In the time we have left, I'd like you to go out on a limb, if you don't mind, and offer advice to the people out in the audience. I introduced the concept by saying that everyone here has the potential to be a giant, and that is the reality of the world we live in. What advice would you offer to companies that wanted to follow in your footsteps, wanted to follow your example,
I think,
and go from startup to giant? William?
I have only one practical advice to you guys. So I was in the mentor hours yesterday, and the mentees that I saw yesterday remind me of myself 6 years ago. They just started their technical startup journey. And the things they're thinking right now is how to get funding. But this is the biggest mistake that I realized over the years. I think from your very earliest startup time, your time is very precious. So I suggest not to go to investors, but put or invest most of your time developing your core technologies, developing your marketing, develop your business development, develop your clients. And once you grow bigger or once you grow important, investors will come to you. So I spent a lot of time in my first 2 years looking for investors, but these time turned out to be a waste when I look back. So now I think if you really want to do this, you have to invest your time into the core things, and investors will come to you.
That's good advice. And I know that's been part of the story of Jungle Creations, which is bootstrapped.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me put the question to you about what's the advice?
Good question. I would say for me, don't be afraid of imitation as long as it's paired with innovation. E.g., don't look at the market and think somebody's already doing that, they own that market share, it's going to be really, really difficult for me to enter, because there is always something that they're not doing that is there as an opportunity. E.g., for our Twisted brand now, we've opened a bar and we've opened a restaurant, and we've really used our social media brand presence to expand on what we offer. So I think, yes, lots of people have got a lot of stuff covered, but there will always be some kind of unique place in the market where you can add to that, build on it, learn from their mistakes without spending loads of money, and go from there.
Good, yeah. Learning on other people's mistakes and realizing that there is really nothing new under the sun. Tiago, what would your advice be to aspirational giants out in the audience?
Well, I'm also an entrepreneur. I've had a few exits. They were very successful. I made my money outside my current work. And the reason why is really the thing that I think is the most important one. If you lose track of why you're doing things, and if you start worrying about where to get the next funding, or where to get the next talent, just because you need that without the reason why, you'll tend to lose sight of what's really important. If you really believe in something, you have to do everything in your power to make it happen, but do not lose sight of why you started out.
Good. All right. Vision, perseverance, creativity, and bootstrapping. So there you have it. It's a straight shot to gianthood. Thank you. Thanks to our panel. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.